Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fall Turf Festival. And I want to welcome our track announcer, Pete Aiello. Pete, a little strange to be across town here.
Exciting for me, though, Ron. It completes the trifecta of South Florida venues for myself. So we're excited to get the 2014 Fall Turf Festival underway. 10 races on the program here this afternoon. And as we will see throughout this 2014 meeting, turf will be the focus today, no exception.
You know, I want to remind everybody, if you can't join us here at Gulfstream Park West, Gulfstream Park is open 7 days a week for our simulcast action. So if you're across town, enjoy the TV show today. And remember that Gulfstream opens 7 days a week. And our first race today, Pete, is a 7.5 furlong turf event. Non-winners a 2 lifetime, $12,500.
And we're on the turf to start the day. Want to go back and look at last weekend's racing action, the Florida Sire Stakes from Saturday as closing weekend of the 2014 summer season at Gulfstream. It was a very, very exciting day. We didn't think that Holywell would be able to stretch it around 2 turns, at least I didn't, but as you can see, 50 and 2 to the half mile. She had plenty left. She was beautifully handled by jockey Orlando Boca Chica, and she gets the big money as we took it around 2 turns.
Yeah, I was really enamored when she had that inside post, but didn't have the nerve to put her right on top, so put her in the second or third spot there. We want to go back and also show you the race a little later on, race 11 on Saturday, and that was the In Reality, and boy, was this one close.
Well, this was really exciting race. You can see Sing Praises actually got beautifully tripped behind the speed for Ramsey Zimmerman. He takes the lead, and I'm starting to think, based off of his last race and this race, that when he hits the front, he just gets to playing around. It doesn't look like he's getting tired. Certainly, it didn't look like it to me, as he passed the 12, and then the 12 came back to nail him. So I think it's a situation where Sing Praises is just a very talented horse, and he's a little too smart for his own good, but he did get the right end of that win photo to take down the big money on Saturday.
A little trouble here with my microphone, keeps slipping off my ear. First race today, as I mentioned, 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Non-winners of 2 in life, $12,500, and the current favorite up there right now is the 7 More Debt.
Well, it's a situation. I do want to talk about this for those handicapping the races this afternoon. Full disclosure, you will see CRC running lines from the summer season and from a couple years ago. But when you're looking at the races, if you look at the GPW track abbreviations, they are accounting for the CRC running lines. So you can get a good gauge of horses for courses, which we'll talk about. I think that's very, very important early in the meet, and you're going to talk to me about it all afternoon long. Speed will not be my weapon of choice. I think the winners of these races on the main track will be coming from well off the speed. They added some surface yesterday. I think it'll be slow. I think it'll be closer friendly, and I actually think it'll be upset city to start the season.
You heard it here first. He's giving you the track bias before they ran a race, so we like that. I went with the 2 in here, Tritoni, and cutting back the 7.5 furlongs after closing and finished second. It was against similar quality, was going a mile in the 16th. Apprentice Ani Fontanez will be in the orange this afternoon.
Well, this is an interesting race. You have Mr. Exclusive on the far outside, wheeling back in 6 days, and you have More Debt coming off the claim and getting back to his preferred surface on turf. They look on paper to be the fastest. The problem is they're also both speed horses, and there's a lot of speed signed on in here, so I certainly appreciate your logic for Tritoni, and he just gets so far back, and this is at the 7.5 furlong journey. It is around 2 turns, but we've not seen this kind of trip, at least lately in South Florida. I went with the 1 touchdown Tom. I think he'll probably get first run on Tritonian, but he'll be off the speed early in the race, and I think it's a situation where the best trip will win it. I also used a long shot in number 4, Chevron Light. I'm going to draw a line through his last race. He has some decent races on this course. He has 2 third-place runs out of 3 outings. That's more than anybody else can say here at Gulfstream West today.
Well, you know, the number 3 horse in here, 2 for you, a nice $12,500 maiden win back on August night, drops, and the reason I'm mentioning this horse, I do have it on my ticket, Kathleen O'Connell and Eduardo Nunez. If there's anybody that should win the first race at Gulfstream Park West, you would think it should be Kathleen O'Connell and Eduardo Nunez, a mainstay here at this part of South Florida. So we'll see how that first race shakes out. Second race this afternoon, 5.5 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up. Non-winners of 3 races in life, $6,250 in there. No scratches to report right on. I went with the number 7 horse in here, Caesar Run. I see you went with number 4 in here, and that's Be a Wildcat.
I think that you'll be in front of me early, and we're both going to get good trips. This was the race that I thought was kind of a more formful dirt event. There's a lot of speed signed on in here, though. You have Little Bart, who has one gear, and that's the first gear. Reggae Boy from an outside post, he's going to go. And aside from the fact that I figure the track will be closer-friendly, again, I am going on the record right now to tell you that. That is my plan. So if speed wins, I will lose. But also, even if that's not the case and the track is a fair surface, this is a race where there's a lot of speed signed on, and I think the winners will be coming from off the speed.
So basically what happens here, I'm picking the speed horses, you're picking the closers, so we're banging heads throughout this afternoon.
I don't know about that, but I think that Cesar Run's going to trip out pretty nice. I think he'll sit behind the speed duel. I think it'll be a three-headed duel on the front end with the 1, 2, and 8 going at it early. I think Cesar Run will get first run, but I think Be a Wildcat for apprentice Tyler Gaffleone will run him down when it matters, and the start of the early pick 4.
And just to note, on number 8, Reggae Boy skipped the condition last time to win its race, and the barn is 1 for 4 with winning consecutive races. So I just thought the Reggae Boy's last performance was pretty nice. Let's flip the page and go to race number 3, and we're back on the firm turf course. 7 1/2 furlongs, 3-year-olds, and up $16,000. Scratch the number 3. Trouble's coming, and here he comes. He likes the number 1 horse in here, and that's Awesome Attack.
Now, I'm going to actually have to say that if I were to have to go on record as a best bet on the program, it would be Awesome Attack. I really like him here. I think he's going to get a very good tactical setup. This is another race, this race on turf at 7 1/2 furlongs. I don't know tactically how that course is going to play. 7 1/2 furlongs, kind of a tweener distance on turf, but I also know one thing. There's a lot of speed signed on in here. Awesome Attack gets to save ground from an inside post. He's in very, very good form, and he also gets Jesus Rios on board. And as everybody knows in South Florida, I am certainly the vice president of the Jesus Rios fan club, and I definitely like Awesome Attack. Second start off a bit of a freshening. He's the horse to beat for me.
I went with the number 11 here, Fanbase, cutting back to this 7 1/2 furlong distance after responding to a drop in competition, defeat the $16,000 claimers by 2 lengths. And if you look back on August 1st, also beat $16,000 claimers. So I think this is the logical level, and nobody's been hotter than Marcus Vitale since he came back to South Florida from up at Monmouth Park. And you got Orlando Boca Chica, who's also been riding in great form.
Well, the thing about Fanbase, and the reason I deviated from Fanbase in today's third race, is the 11 post. 7 1/2 furlongs is a 2-turn race here at Gulfstream Park West, and they start pretty close to the first turn. If you're telling me that a horse with speed out of the 11 post that will take money is the horse to beat, I'm going to try to do exactly that, just based off a tactical disadvantage. I like Awesome Attack down inside.
So we disagree once again. Let's go to the 4th race today. 5 1/2 furlongs, maiden claimers, fillies, 2-year-olds. Scratch the 7, 13, and 14. And number 12 will be ridden by Wilfredo Gautier. And I went with the number 10 in here, Halo of Dreams, who's now in the Antonio Sano barn. Drops a notch after finishing a fast closing second. That was against $16,000 maidens going 3/4 of a mile. And here's a nice stat for you. Trainer Antonio Sano, who's 31% with new additions to his barn.
My problem with Halo of Dreams, quite frankly, I just have not been a fan of the company that she's been keeping. So I went with a horse that actually made your ticket. So we actually agree. This horse is going to be a good number. Number 1, Auburn Feathers for Tom Shell. Takes a drop in class, moves off the turf course this afternoon. The inside draw is no bargain, but I think that this horse has been facing a little bit better than she'll face this afternoon. I also gave the Berry Rose horse a look in this race. Joe's Comprise. If I'm right about the main track favoring off the speed types, she definitely trips out well here under jockey Joe Vertramafi.
You know, I didn't know what to do with the 9 horses straight. Albeit you takes an immediate drop to the bottom for trainer Kirk Zadie. He's 40% with his 2-year-olds, but only 17% with maidens making their second start. So I didn't know what to do with this horse. His barn is just always so good. Huge drop, red flag, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that does make a good rider switch, Ronnie, and I think that's key. You get Fontanez, who's been the go-to rider for Kirk Zadie the last couple of weeks. This horse took a lot of money in the debut, and she just didn't show up. Now, if there is something that you could use to hang your hat on, the horse's mother, Cinnamon Bronze, broke her maiden right here.
Right here. Let's go to the 5th race, and let's go back to the turf, 1 mile and 1/16. These are maiden claimers, $12,500, and we're going to scratch the 7, the number 8, Hiccup, and the 13 and 14.
Well, I need to go on the record and ask you a question. We're showing right now that your top play is Spellbreaker. I don't believe it.
No, in the 5th race here today, number 6, Songa, is my top player.
That makes a little bit more sense.
I probably wrote the wrong number down, but it's number. I have 6, 9, and 12 in this race. I don't usually pick big bombers like that. So 6, 9, and 12. I probably wrote the wrong number down.
Your words, not mine. I went with the one horse in here, Kerf. He's rounding into form. He's a horse that has been facing these same types. Again, this is a race where we have to try to figure out who's going to be the best of the rest kind of scenario. These horses have been racing against each other all summer long, and that's why Songa made some sense to me, because the horse has never raced here in South Florida against these maiden ranks. The problem I had there is you have Wesley Ward and Edgar Prado. Everybody's going to see that, and the horse's form has been, well, suspect to say the least.
That's for sure.
Well, so, you know, you don't really know the fresh face and the stale bunch kind of angle, but I went inside with number 1, Kerf. I like the rider switch from Jose Valdivia to the more aggressive John Delgado. I think you'll be a good number. Listen, folks, if you're going to play my picks today, we're either going to be riding the high train when we leave here, or we're going to be going home with our ATM card in our back pocket.
Well, you know, number 9, Buckingham Gate, I still have a ticket. I've been trying to get this horse to win for, it seems like, for 212 years. 16 previous races on the turf with 4 seconds and 5 thirds. Always there, but just can't get that job done. But I got to have it somewhere on the ticket. And I really thought this was the spot today for the 8 Hiccup who scratched, but that's for another day. And I also threw in the 12 4Ts in here. So we'll see how the 5th race works out.
I'm going to use a big number underneath. Again, I'm a multi-leg guy. When I'm playing the races here at Gulfstream Park West, I'm focusing on multi-leg wagers, the pick 3s, the pick 4s, and in this particular race, the start of the Rainbow Six. City Mud will make my pick 4s and my pick 6 ticket here today off the strength of the better race last time. So Cozy came back to beat non-winners of 2 types, and then Legacy of Honor dropped again under Rodney Sudin and broke maiden the next time. This is, again, a situation where these horses are running against the same type horses, and City Mud seems to have a little bit of an advantage in that regard.
Let's go to the 6th race. And this 6th race, 1 mile, 3-year-olds and up. Non-winners are 3, 62.50. Scratch the 11, scratch the 14. I want to go back and show you a performance. I don't know if you have the number 4 fighter on your ticket in race number 6, but this horse was really had a check sharp. You'll see it here in the picture on the back. And I think this horse was eliminated. And if you go back 2 starts, this horse didn't run that badly. And I'm just going to put a line through this race. Do not have this horse on the top of my ticket, but I think this horse has to be somewhere in your equation. I see you have him in the 3rd spot.
Well, he shows speed, so I mean, by rights, I tried to not use him, but at the same time, I think he's going to get a pretty favorable scenario here. I like the 2nd start off the layoff. I like Dario Vega, but also in this race, folks, I'm going to use a horse in here. You see it on your screen, the number 6. Tell It Like It Is, Coach. This horse will be 40-1, I promise you, and I definitely think that he's a horse that has a chance, and here's why. And here's what you have to consider. This is a different meeting, both by name and by surface. And the Gulfstream Park main track and the main track here at Gulfstream Park West are entirely different surfaces. And some horses don't like one and very much like the other. I think that's the case with Tell It Like It Is, Coach. Draw a line through all his races at Gulfstream Park and look at the form that he's been keeping when he ran here at Gulfstream Park West. He ran very, very well. He's going to come from off the speed. I think there's some speed signed on in here. And in a race where they all look to be about the same, why not go for a big number?
Go for a big number, then. You made a great point, because also you have to know, if you're watching the races over at Gulfstream when they run at a mile at Gulfstream Park, it's a 1-turn race.
Very, very
and here
important.
At 1 mile, it's 2 turns. You see the 6th race. So you're running a mile, but you're actually going around 2 turns. And when I do my analysis when we're over at Gulfstream, I always put in there, you know, this is a 1-turn mile, because a lot of people are used to handicapping 1-mile races. They immediately think it's a 2-turn affair, and that's exactly what's happening here at Gulfstream Park
That's a great point, Ronnie. I think it's definitely going to be something you can look at, and that's one of the reasons I use the 12 Spanish Wink on top in here. Same logic as the 6 Tell It Like It Is, Coach. I just couldn't be brash enough to pick a horse like 40-1 on top. But I definitely think that race number 6 is Upset City.
Well, let's go to the 7th race, and it's a 7-furlong sprint. These are maiden filly 2-year-olds, and the price is $16,000 if you want to buy one of these. And I went with the number 6, Peggy Greasme, dropping to the $16,000 level. Stalked the pace last time, 5 wide, finished 4th. That was against $35,000 claimants at Gulfstream Park. It was on August 22nd. I already mentioned the Marcus Vitale and Orlando Boca Chica, how well you're doing. Has one race, here in South Florida, and I think this horse is sitting in a really nice spot. And actually see you have him somewhere on your ticket, which is amazing. But you did go with the number 3 in here, Miss Visconti.
Well, listen, I went with prices all day. This is the start of a new season. There's a lot of unknowns here. And I think that from a handicapping standpoint, you kind of have to get a little creative until we can see some of these trends, how the main track will play, how horses that were based at Gulfstream will transfer their forms here to Gulfstream West. Will horses like the 6, Peggy's Grieves Me, who are based here at Gulfstream Park West, will they have a home field advantage? I think they might. That's why the horse took my second play. Miss Visconti, I think her debut was a lot better than it looks. She made ground for Hugo Sanchez. She passed some horses in the stretch that day, and she ran in the debut run in the slop. She takes a drop, she stretches out, and again, she's going to be a good number.
I went with the 1 in second, and it's Discreet Romance. Moved to the Chris Gaddis Barn V to claim, stretching out to 7 furlongs. After finishing a 4-wide third, it was against Similar, was going 3/4 of a mile. The only concern I have, inside post going 7 furlongs. You know, you bust out of the chute. It always seems to be a problem when you're on the inside. Really was going to put this horse on top of the ticket, but because of the post, actually dropped it down to the second spot, and I also used the 9 in there, Samara.
Discreet Romance has a very, very good workout here at Gulfstream Park West since the claim, so that might have, as you used to say in the old days, signaled the intention.
8th race this afternoon is a 7 furlong. This is a starter optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. The claiming level is $10,000. You got a scratch of the 1 El Benedat, who is one of my selections. Also scratched the number 3 Lion Bell, and I ended up with number 12 in here. And on the outside, So Frank, this horse just does not lose.
Well, I can honestly tell you one thing about So Frank. If I jumped on the bandwagon, she would have no chance. This has been very much a horse that I've been on the wrong side of all summer. So again, I will pick against her. She's taking a big step up in class. It doesn't look like it on paper, but when you consider the fact that she beat Language of Love and Polka Dot Bikini last time, there's some horses in here that are quite a bit more proven, such as Courtney Ryan, who ended up on top in my ticket. You also have to take note, I noticed that you picked her second. I couldn't go with her. I need to see her run one, but the 9-horse Gabby with the G is a graded stakes winner in Puerto Rico.
What I liked about her, I normally don't pick these type of horses, or I put them in 3rd or 4th spot, but this horse has been working exceptionally well. You see, of its workouts, it has, I think, 6 workouts across town, and 2 of those are bullets. So looks like this horse is acclimated to South Florida, and now see if we can translate that form that is shown on the main track at Gulfstream Park East here at Gulfstream Park West.
This is the toughest race of the day by far for me. I went with the proven commodity, Courtney Ryan. She's based here. She races well here, but this is a very, very tough race.
Well, let's flip the page and go to the 9th, 6.5 furlongs, an allowance optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And we want to go back and show you a race of Yes Liz. It was the race on June 14th where this horse just won very impressively. Came back, was in stakes competition last race, but I just thought this was a really good performance for Yes Liz, you know, and that was 2 starts back. Wins this race by like 8 lengths.
She was very, very impressive that day. She set fast fractions and came home very, very well. That was why she was so well backed in the cash run the following outing, but she lost to the very talented filly from the Carlo Vaccarezza barn, Little Alexis. I'm going to ask you a question on air. Why would I not pick Yes Liz?
I don't know. Probably because it's going to be the big favorite in here.
Well, she's going to the lead, and I will not be. If anybody wins on the lead, I will definitely not be on the bandwagon. Is she the best horse in here? Yes, I think so. But I'm going to pick her stablemate, number 9, second base. I think that if, again, I'm just taking a shot here, fans. I have a strong conviction. I've been saying it for weeks that when we got over to Gulfstream Park West, the racing complexion would change. And I think that this is going to be a situation where I'm just going to have to prove it. And second base will be running at Yes Liz. They are definitely the top 2 in this race.
And by the way, the number 1 horse in there, Black Air, was scratched out of that 9th race. The 10th race this afternoon, we're going back to the turf course, 7.5 furlongs. These are maiden filly 2-year-olds. Scratched the 8 and scratched 13, 14, and 15. And we also have a video here. We want to go back and show you a race on September 14th, and it's Don't Judge Me, turning from home to the wire and running very impressively behind Red Sachet, who came back and win the My Dear Peggy the other day. I just thought this horse ran well against this level of competition.
I absolutely agree. And Dos Pat Judgment, I can see we actually get on the bandwagon together in the final race of the day. We have the same top 3. I'm off the strength of the same thing you just mentioned. The horse on the outside, the 1 horse, Red Sachet, came back to beat a strong field of 2-year-old fillies on a turf in a stakes race on Saturday. Dos Pat Judgment was well placed by jockey Luca Panici that day and just got outkicked by better horses. I think that this race this afternoon is a much, much better fit for this horse. And the morning line maker installed the horse at 5-1 in the morning line. I hope I can get that. It might be a key in my late pick 3 and a late daily double. I like the 5 quite a bit here.
Yeah, I went with the 4 Gabby's Kitten, turning back to 7.5 furlong. Stalk the pace, going a mile in the 16th across town on the turf. Edgar Zayas, Luis Ramirez, the combination there. Just thought that was the logical choice. Also, we both have the 1 on their Classical Romance, third behind aforementioned Gabby's Kitten back on August 29th, goes back to the grass, finished third on the dirt, and Bill Kaplan, the trainer, Juan Leyva, having an excellent summer campaign.
We don't have our fact checker Ed Gray on staff with us here today, but I do believe Classic Romance is none other than the little sister of Musical Romance.
It is. It absolutely is. I remember that, and thanks to Ed for that stat. We didn't write it in our analysis, but certainly true. So that wraps up what we see is our first card here at Gulfstream Park West, and we will. It's going to be an interesting 44 days.
I think you're going to just have to take your own notes, for racing fans, and just take a load of what is and is not happening with Gulfstream Park West racing. I have a feeling that you're going to see a lot of form reversals this meet because, frankly, they're completely different surfaces, and traditionally here in South Florida, they've always been completely different surfaces. You used to say back in the old days that horses coming from Gulfstream Park West to Gulfstream Park would be very much the advantage early in the meet. I think that that's going to be kind of a reverse, that the horses that are based at Gulfstream will need a race over this surface before they offer their best offering. Just my opinion, but I think the value will be there.
Well, it's going to be exciting to see how things shake out on opening day of the Gulfstream Park West meet. Once again, want to remind you, if you can't make it here, Gulfstream Park is going to be open all during our session here, and we have simulcasting 7 days a week, open all day and night in the beautiful Silks Simulcast Center. But if you do want to come over and visit us, this place is looking pretty good, so we should have a fun session here. Good luck, everybody. Anything else, Pete, before we go?
Well, we do have a little bit of simulcasting on track with us here at Gulfstream West as well. So if you're a Keeneland player, you can play both the live action here at Gulfstream West and Keeneland, as well as New York and California as well.
Good luck, everybody.